Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to EWN Network. We are in for a treat today. Today we have numerology with Michele Landers. As we all know that she is a wonderful numerologist, and she's going to talk to us about what's coming up this month. And I just enjoy her predictions and her explanation of things. I think she's going to talk about why our electronics are not working. And we all want to know that. Michele, thank you so much for being here and for your program that you give us every month. So I'm going to go ahead and disappear also, and you take it away, girl. Okay?
Okay, well, before you start, let me hit record.
Okay.
Okay.
Have a good day. There you
go. Okay. Well, welcome everyone. And this has been a very interesting beginning to this program. I'm not even sure if you heard the introduction. We've been having some electronic issues. And even though this program was supposed to start at 4, I so apologize. It's just about 5 o'clock, but we are starting now. And I have to say that given the energy that's swirling around us, I am not surprised at all that we've had some challenges with electronics. So I do have a number of things I want to review. And first of all, I want us to look at some dates. Now, I am not an astrologer. I do know a little bit about astrology, but I also have some really great contacts who do know a lot about astrology. So I'm incorporating that into this recording today. So first of all, let's look at August 8th. Now, August 8th is a fortuitous day, and every year on August 8th, we know, and if you don't know, that's fine, because we're going to talk about it, is called the Lion's Gate Portal. So what is the Lion's Gate Portal? The Lion's Gate Portal is considered a really powerful time for us here on this planet. And why it's so important and powerful is because it marks the time when the star Sirius, which is so interesting, how many things that are on this physical plane that have names of either constellations or these magical occurrences that happen, but Sirius is a planet. So Sirius is considered the brightest blue star in the sky, although I do believe that that blue, according to some astronomers, has been fading. I don't know why that is, but I certainly am going to find out. So Sirius is also known as the spiritual sun. It's also known as the blue or dog star. And it becomes visible or more visible and rises with Orion's belt to align with the Earth, the Pyramids of Giza, and the Sphinx to activate Leo, the Lion's Gate. Now, here's a little interesting side note. For the ancient Greeks, Sirius marked the dog days, and we've all heard that expression, right? So it was really interesting to find out it was considered, this time period is considered the dog days of summer. So if you didn't know, Orion's belt or the belt of Orion is also known as the Three Kings or the Three Sisters, and it's a group of stars in the constellation Orion. And it consists of these three, bright stars. So although I have to say most people associate the Lion's Gate Portal, as I led this little talk with, as just occurring on August 8th, that's not really quite true, because actually the portal opens up every year from July 28th to August 12th. So, however, the reason that people talk about August 8th is because the 8th is when the energy is said to reach its peak. And get this, it's considered one of the best days of the year, the best day of the year to manifest. And it's a super potent time for spiritual growth. So let's talk a little bit about numerology. In numerology, the 8-8, and it's interesting because, let me see if I can do this right. The 8 looks like the infinity symbol, right? Only it's upright. And it's also, 8 is also considered a very powerful and transformative number. And it corresponds to the 8th card of the tarot. And even though I have some tarot cards here, I didn't pull the 8th, my mistake. But again, that's part of the energy today, which is a little bit crazy. The 8th card of the tarot is called is the Strength card. And if you can imagine, if you know what the 8th looks like, great. And if you don't, I'll tell you. It shows a woman who is opening the lion's mouth. However, or the jaws of the lion, but it doesn't look like she's struggling to do it. So she has a lot of strength and a lot of power. So 8 also represents abundance, prosperity, and it's also karmic, a very karmic number. So it brings in, when you're under the influence of 8, depending on where it is falling in your chart, it has to do with karma. And what you have put out, you get back in. Now, karma gets a bad rap because people hear karma and they go, okay, karma's a you know what. Yeah, but karma also is, in a sense, it's a reward. So whatever you put out there that's good, you're going to get the positive karma back. So I just hope everybody knows that. So again, this is can be a very, very fortuitous time because it's also under the influence of Aquarius. So moving through this portal, besides manifesting what we would like, we have to ask these questions. And right now, I think they're very pertinent and very important. How can we show up for others? How can we support our community? How can we support our country, our community locally, our friends and our family? And the sign of Leo contains and represents love, generosity, leadership, creativity. So we want to embrace and acknowledge all of those qualities during this period of time. So from about the 27th of July through, I would say, most of August, Uranus North Node conjunction is happening in the sign of Taurus, and it can bring really defining moments. So what I do know about the North Node and the South Node, the North Node in anybody's chart is your destiny or the future. So right now, Uranus North Node conjunction is happening in Taurus. So we can see a lot of changes and evolution happening around finance, agriculture / farming. So Mars is joining this conjunction, and she adds, well, I don't know, I guess I should say he, because I think Mars is more of a masculine energy, this really fiery energy. So part of that, Uranus can be upheaval, but it can be illuminating and enlightening. So Mars Uranus is kind of the classic sign for earthquakes, for volcanoes. And I'm sure we're going to be hearing about more of that kind of activity, seismic activity as well. And Mars and Uranus are both speedy and they act quickly. They just don't hang around. So on one hand, it can bring earthquakes, volcanoes, fires, unstable geomagnetics. But remember this is so important for everybody to know. And I know I've been saying this for a long time, but I also know that people are feeling it and know that it's absolutely true. The earth is upgrading, and we're kind of caught right in that vortex of old things giving way to new. So things can really, really, really feel unstable. But also know that Uranus is truth. Sometimes it's shocking truth, but it's truth nonetheless. It's freedom, it's clarity. Even if you don't want clarity, sometimes it's just going to hit you kind of right in the face. It's awakening, and it can bring shakeups. But again, and what I will say more than one time, what we're going through is a breakdown to a breakthrough. And I know that may be an overused phrase, but it happens to be the truth. So it's a seismic activity, but you can also use this energy to push forward your goals and your plans. Now, as a side note, the next few months are going to be really fast moving. And if you look at where we are now from the beginning of the year, my God, it's 8 months already. 8 months have passed. So we're rapidly moving into new territory. And it's very likely that we're going to be witnessing a lot of probably astonishing technologies. So on August 11th, we have another and final supermoon, and that's going to act as kind of an igniter. So it's a great time to practice gratitude for what you have, where you've come from, and all of nature around you. We really have to pay more attention, and I think we all are quite aware of this, to Mother Earth, to Gaia, and to help her and help sustain her, because she's making herself known, right? And she's telling us, you guys, you've got to do something. You've got to take care. I mean, we belong to the planet. The planet doesn't belong to us, and we have to respect that. Okay, now on August 16th, we have this Uranus trine Mercury. And I'm really, really, really counting on something very positive that comes of this, because those two planets can work together really well. And as I said, Uranus is sometimes shocking, but it's also illuminating. It's unusual. And as a side note, Uranus is the planet that is associated with Aquarius. And as an Aquarian, I know that we can be a little unusual. So Uranus is unusual, and it can be illuminating and insightful and way ahead of its time. So Mercury is the mind. So you would, think ideas, the mind. So I think these two planets trining together can bring some brilliant ideas. Then on August 27th, yes, the 27th, we have a new moon in Virgo. And Virgo, very detailed, good for growth, and another supportive day to do intentions. And usually always in a new moon, it's great. But I do want you to circle August 8th for sure. So one more conjunction I'd like to mention, which actually took, oh, I'm so sorry for that. Okay. Sorry for this. As I said, the technology here is a little bit crazy. Okay, so where was I? All right, the other conjunction I wanted to mention, which it really took place the other day, but we are still going to feel it into August, is the Mars Uranus North Node conjunction. So I just mentioned to you that oh gosh, I am so sorry for this. I'm going to mute myself for just thank you guys for being so patient and understanding today. I actually couldn't turn my phone off, so that has to do with all of the crazy energy that's going on. So as I did mention, the North Node is about your future, your destiny. So the Uranus North Node conjunction is happening in the sign of Taurus, and that can bring defining moments. Okay, so we can see changes and evolution happening around finance, around land, around housing, gold, jewelry, agriculture again, slash farming. So these collective destiny changes and awakening should be happening around this time. And it adds this fiery energy to the planet. And again, Mars and Uranus, speedy, they act quickly. So on one hand, although it can bring some unusual changes or volcanoes and may seem unstable, on the other hand, again, the reminder is that the Earth is upgrading. So Uranus is going to bring us some freedom and clarity, again, even if you don't want it, and it can bring some shakeups, but you can use this energy to push forward your goals and your plans. And as another side note, I'll just tell you that over the next few months, it's going to be very fast moving. We're changing rapidly. We're moving into new territory. So although on one hand, a lot of this sounds like, oh my God, what's happening? Well, we're being upgraded, but it's also, if you can allow yourself to go with the flow of this energy and not be either frightened by it or thrown by it, it's a very high energy and it can be channeled to create some really positive changes. So both, can be equal. Unusual happenings, but also unusual good happenings, and channeling that energy to bring about the things that you really want. We have that on our side, and more than ever, we are being upgraded with galactic downloads. And so all of us that have chosen to be here right now have chosen for a reason. And what we're being asked to do is to hold steady, not be fearful, and don't be frightened. So let's talk about the numbers, which is really what this is all about, right? The numerology, but I always like to lead with a little bit of the astrology. August is the 8th month, right? And if you add the number 8 of August to the universal vibration of the year 2022, we're in a 6 numerological year universally. So 8 and 6 equals 14. 1 and 4 equals 5. So let's look at the number 5 first. And interestingly, Leo is governed by the sun. And you know what the numbers for the sun are? It's 1 and 4. Also, it's the 5th card of the tarot. And I do have that. In fact, I have a giant one to show you. So you can see that. You like these big cards? And that's the Hierophant or the Hierophant. Yes. Well, I mean, yes, of course. So what does the Hierophant or the Hierophant teach us? It teaches us about value within ourselves. It's also the bridge between this physical plane and the spiritual plane. And that is the number 5 in numerology as well. And it took me years to kind of figure that out because it's kind of the center. It's man on earth. And it's the bridge and the gap between experiencing this physical life and even, enjoying it and having, you can definitely have pleasure on this physical plane, but understanding that we also have a spiritual calling and being able to balance it. And what's the big secret? Not being attached to it. So you can have fun and enjoy it and do your work, whatever that is, and family and love and nice things if you choose to, but understand that it's all temporary and not to be attached to it. So the Hierophant asks us to bring the spiritual and the physical together in harmony. So here we go. I mean, all of that is pretty much in alignment with the astrological aspects. And the number 5, guess what? It's fast moving. And so that adds this restless energy. It's a restless kind of number. And it goes along with this fiery energy of Leo, as well as that quick energy of Uranus. So with this combo, we have the number 5, we have the planets Uranus, we have the planet, Mars, and all in the sign of Leo. So it's time to get things done for sure. So I wouldn't expect this month to be anything but, okay, well, at its very worst, explosive things, but also changeable, fast moving. And with that energy present, things can go from good to bad, but it can go from bad to good really, really quickly. So you want to stay centered. Again, I will keep repeating that, and keep up your spiritual practices and allow things to, just go with the flow. So in the month of August, we can expect the unexpected, quick changes. But if we look at the numbers behind the number 5, as I said, there's the 1, because our total was 14, 1, which is the individual, and 4, which is about at times feeling restricted, but it's also about creating new foundations. And as I have said many, many times about the numbers, like everything else on this planet, there's a yin and there's a yang. There's an up and there's a down. You don't know sour unless you've experienced sweetness. The numbers have their positive energy and they have their challenging energy. And the challenging energy is all about the lesson. So 4 can be restricted, but it's also creating new foundations. What new foundations do you want to create in your life? So how does that affect the 6th universal year around the world? Well, it's going to have effect on housing and home base and families. So we can expect changes around real estate, which we're already experiencing, by the way. How people live day to day, how we get our food, thinking of new ways to create new food supplies. Even our normal routines might be affected. So we must, as best as we can, in all areas of our lives, be flexible, be adaptable. This is really, really important. And I also know, and I know this personally because I've been experiencing it, people who are sensitive to these energies might feel a little anxiety, a little bit of nervousness. So it's really important just to remind ourselves that this is what we need to go through to bring about this new earth and new beginnings, and just to stay centered as best as possible. So again and again and again, although there's challenges, there's some very positive changes taking place. A 5-month also stresses your free will and recognizing the free will of others. So don't get caught up in what others do, criticizing it or judging it. And I think I did mention that Leo's governed by the sun. Yes, and the numbers of the sun are 1 and 4. So now let's talk a little bit about the US. All right. The US is under the vibration of 7, and specifically, it's a 16-7 for August. Because for the year, the USA, based on its birthday of the 4th of July, the United States is under the vibration for the year of the number 8, which I talked about, right? It's about money, it's about karma, it's about power, it's about those kind of struggles and bringing balance back to the United States, which God knows we are trying, and we'll see how that goes by the end of the year. So when you add, well, the birthday of the United States, it is the 4th of July, 7 and 4 is 11, which that's a whole nother topic we can talk about another time, because the United States achievement number is 11, and 11 is illuminating. And it's a high spiritual energy. So we're really supposed to be setting an example of spirituality and positive energy. So you can decide how well we're doing with that. But a lot of people are on board with this. So I believe we're certainly doing that, I believe. So we know a little bit about the number 8 again, money, power, and balance. So those issues are front and center, as you already know, this year, and it's going to continue. And we just switched. There's a numerological transit that just hit in July, and it takes the United States down a little bit of a different path than the first 6 months. And so I'm going to look into that a little bit further and let you know what that's going to look like for the rest of the year and the year coming up. All right. So for the month of August, the United States is under 16-7. Now I'm going to show you a card that is going to look a little scary, but don't freak out and don't panic, because I'll explain it. So the 16-7 is a tower card in the tarot. And I know it looks like really frightening, right? But it's speaking to us and giving us the message that although things look like they're falling apart, they're actually clearing the way for a higher energy to come through. So this month, the 8 doesn't always work well with the 7, because the conflict is the number 8. It wants recognition. It wants to speak out. It wants to have power. So that's going to be going on a lot in August. And I think we've already been experiencing that too. So many protests and so many people speaking out and so many people vying for position and power. And the 7, the number 7 is stay in your own lane. Think about things. Don't get ahead of yourself. Things are working behind the scenes, and not all of it is obvious to us. And that also means that there are things that are going on, which this is nothing new, but I believe it's more so in August, that we don't know anything about. There can be kind of a tug of war going on, and explosive as far as energies are concerned, and battling it out. So even though the Tower card represents, chaos, it's a card of unexpected change, which is being mirrored on so many levels. And it does warn of, natural disasters. We are going to be hearing more about earthquakes and tsunamis, hurricanes, and tornadoes. And it can be changes that seem scary, but they're so necessary to get our attention and to clear away things that were built on false beliefs and ideas, and paying attention to the planet and climate change and what we have to do to clean up things. So it can be very, very cleansing. So the Tower can simply represent, some really big changes. But here's the thing. All of these massive energies and times, these radical and unsettling changes are really, really for our own good and for the good of the planet. And it's if we're going screaming and kicking to our freedom. And it's all about the breakdown to a breakthrough. And that's never easy. Gosh, I know in my own life, the breakthroughs, I've gone kicking and screaming to my freedom, because even though I didn't like the way things were, guess what? I was used to it. And there is some kind of strange security, even in insecure situations, because you're used to it. And we have to get over that. So it's never easy, but if we find peace within ourselves, we can broadcast that out. We can focus on those time periods that I mentioned, visualize, magnetize the positive spirit, the experiences, and connect to your spirit, to the divine, to God, whatever is your higher power. Be open to the universe's direction on what steps to take next. And that usually only happens, well, I don't want to say absolutely only happens, but it usually happens when we quiet the mind, right? And when we're calm. Some people, I hear a lot of people say that they get inspiration in the shower. And I think that's beautiful. That's only happened to me one time, but I usually get it in meditation in the morning. So be open to the universe's directions on what right steps to take next. Be calm. Please be optimistic. Be compassionate. Be helpful. Be supportive. And whether that is, if you can be supportive to organizations or charities monetarily, that's great if you're able to. Or just offer ourselves up in service, because that is what is desperately needed right now. But I do see it as all of this is leading to a very positive outcome. I don't believe it's going to happen overnight, but it is coming. So stay strong, stay centered, and love yourself and love your neighbor, as they say. So that's it. That's a lot of information. And if you want to get in touch with me, if you'd like your chart done, you can contact me at Michele Landers, and that's Michele with one L, MicheleLanders.com. Check out my website. You can schedule a free 15-minute consultation with me. I'll be glad to talk with you about anything, hypnotherapy, numerology, spiritual subjects. If you're having a little bit of a challenging time with something, I'll be happy to chat with you about it for free. So thank you so much for listening. And again, I'm so sorry for the delay. And get yourself a big white candle for August 8th and light it up and do your intentions with a big heart and soul. So thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. That was wonderful.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
you know, I've been feeling like that with change comes choices. And I think we as individuals are, this is a period we're having to make choices. You know, exactly what is our choice going to be? Like you said, are we going to be more loving, more kind, taking care of our planet? Are we, that's the gist of all this. And the fear you've taken away from us. You've shown us that these things are happening, but that we should realize it's for good. So thank you for that
Mm.
so much.
Thank you,
And
Jane,
it's
for those.
amazing to me how astrology and numerology work together. That's fascinating.
It
So,
is fascinating, isn't it? I became more involved with astrology in the last couple of years, and I'm just amazed at how they mirror one another. But then, isn't everything a mirror for
yeah,
us?
you're absolutely right.
It's
It's
amazing.
all together there. It's just no
Right,
matter. Yes, you're
right.
absolutely right. So that was really, really informative and wonderful. And it's
Thank you,
making me kind
Jane.
of excited about what's coming. So
Yes, yes. Let's be excited.
yeah.
Just,
And you took away my question. My question was
oh,
going to be how can they come in contact with you? And you just answered it. So now I don't have a question, but
okay.
um are there other programs we might tune into before next month that you have coming up?
I don't have, it's funny. This has been a really quiet time for me as far as doing programs, and I have really so many programs to do, but I've kind of taken a little time away. And one of the things that happened that you probably know is my house was struck by lightning. So
Oh, I
that
know.
that talk about energy, right? I was not
Absolutely.
surprised because the energy's been so intense, and my house was the only house struck in this area. So that I found very, very interesting, but it certainly got my attention. Um, so things that I have to do with, my home
Mhm.
have been at the top of my list. But come the fall, I'll probably be doing some more programs, living miraculously. I'd love to do a numerology workshop on EWN. If anybody's interested, all they have to do is, get in touch with Ruth.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, they're really
Your
fun.
manifesting program with Terry Angel right now is marvelous.
Well,
I think
thank you.
I think it's coming to an end pretty soon, isn't it?
Yeah,
But
we have,
I was
yeah.
telling Terry, you need to talk about it and do something else because we've gotten used to all this wonderful, wonderful
Oh,
information. So,
thank
okay,
you.
honey, I'll let you go. And everybody, I'm so grateful that you were here and got to hear all this wonderful information. As she said, we kind of had difficulties, so we're sorry about all the
Mm,
electronics, and I was kind of like the substitute pitcher way down, the list. So thank you for putting up with me, and remember that there's so many wonderful programs on EWN. Please tune in. If numerology is not your thing, I don't see how it could not be. There's other
but
programs that you could just really relate to.
there's
And
wonderful programs.
you have
Excuse me, I don't
wonderful programs.
really
Yeah.
wonderful. And the meditation, and Terry, and every morning she starts your day off on an up note. It's beautiful. And Ruth and Sue and everyone who's associated with EWN, God bless them all, because they're helping to help usher in this new energy of this planet. So I am very grateful for EWN and all of you. And Jane, thank you for jumping in
Oh,
as the
you're very
hostess.
welcome. You know how much I love you. So,
I love
uh,
you too.
and you know, they've given us a home, is what they have for all of
Yes.
us who are spiritual, who all of us are, we kind of didn't have a place to go, and now we do. So,
Mhm.
everyone, I thank you for being here, and namaste. And we love you all.
Namaste, you all.